In this video, I want to talk about the secrets of one of the most famous magicians of all time. No, we're not talking about David Copperfield, David Blaine, or Harry Houdini. Today, we're talking about Johnny Carson. Yes, the legendary talk show host, Johnny Carson. It might come as a surprise to some to find out that Johnny Carson was a talented hobbyist magician. And, just as many comedians were launched into stardom on The Tonight Show, many magicians also gained notoriety after their first appearances with Johnny Carson, including magicians like Dean Dill, Brian Gillis, Michael Amar, Doug Henning, and Paul Gertner. Occasionally, Johnny Carson was known to invite a few magicians back to his home to talk about magic. Paul Gertner recounts a story where Johnny Carson apparently fooled him with a card trick from the Royal Road to Card Magic. When I first heard this, I was totally surprised. You see, Paul Gertner is one of the world's most knowledgeable close-up magicians. He studied under the great Di Vernon. And this is the Royal Road to Card Magic. It's a foundational book in card magic. It's full of super easy to do card magic and kind of the beginning basics that you need to really become an awesome card magician. How could a foundational book like this fool one of the world's best magicians? Well, that was the question that led me to digging through this book and finding tricks that I think could fool a magician. Now, I don't know which specific tricks Johnny Carson performed for Paul Gertner, but I have dug through the Royal Road to Card Magic and I have found a few tricks that I think will fool magicians, and I'm going to share one of those secrets with you today. So in this video, I will teach you one magic trick that will fool magicians from the Royal Road to Card Magic. I have also filmed 2 additional magic tricks, but to watch those videos, you'll have to go click on the link in the description, and it'll take you over to the Penguin website, and you can learn a couple more magic tricks that will fool magicians from the Royal Road to Card Magic, all for free. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. So one of the best parts about this effect is that it uses a borrowed shuffled deck. I'll show you how to get into it kind of impromptu in a moment. But it also involves the spectator handling the cards a lot, and they're mixing the cards, which makes this very, very fooling. So the way it starts is the spectator cuts off a portion of the cards. They then mix those up. All right, they take a look at the top card, and that will be their selection. In this case, the 4 of Hearts. The magician, of course, would have been turned away, so I couldn't see that. We then cut the remaining packet into 2. I'll take one, and the spectator takes the other, and they mix those up and place those on top of their selection. So at this point, they have freely cut the cards, so there's no way that I could know how many cards are below their selection or how many cards are above their selection. They've mixed up the cards, so I don't know which specific cards are where either. At this point, they can take this packet and they can put it on top or below their pack. They can even give it a cut. Now, despite all of that mixing and all of that fairness, and the fact that the magician touched the cards very little, the magician can now determine their card very easily from a face-up spread. So I'll show you a couple ways to reveal their card in just a moment, but first let's get into what you have to do to figure out what their card is. So when you first receive a borrowed shuffled deck, this is what you need to do. You can have the deck shuffled, etc., but you need to make sure that the deck is a complete deck. Okay, and the way that we're going to do this is we'll go through and count the cards. We're going to do this openly, okay? So you can't count through from the bottom up, and you just need to remember what the 26th card is. So we'll go through. So in this case, the 26th card is actually the 3 of spades. So that would be our key card, okay? So the 26th card, and then I would continue to count through, making sure that I have 52 cards. The trick won't work if you don't have 52 cards, okay? So, and your reason for doing this, if you're borrowing a deck, is you say, oh, I just need to make sure, is this deck a complete deck? I just need to make sure that all 52 cards are here, etc., etc., right? You also will need to remove the jokers and any add cards. An alternative to this, if you have a few moments to prepare the deck beforehand, you can grab a card like the Queen of Hearts or the Ace of Spades and place that card in the 26th position. In this case, I've actually taken a card from another deck that is a completely different color, and that is going to be our key card in this deck. So So right here I have the ace of spades. It's from another deck, and you can see it is green on the back, so it'll be easy for us to follow. Okay, so that is your only setup. You just need to count through and figure out what the 26th card is. Okay, so you might start with this. You wouldn't necessarily do this in the middle of a show, right? Just so that you can fumble with the cards. If you're doing this in the middle of a set, then you would need to count those cards openly, which isn't a big deal. But all right, so this is now set up. Like I said, it could be the ace of spades. The ace of spades is just easy to remember, or you can just memorize whatever card happens to be in the 26th position from the bottom. So just to recap, we have 25 cards here, then we have the key card, then we have 26 cards here. Okay, this is the sequence. We start off by asking the spectator to cut the cards, which is nice. They need to cut somewhere above our key card. Okay, so let's say they cut here. You can say cut about a third of the deck, or just cut a few cards off. We can now mix these up. That top card will be their card. In this case, it's the 9 of clubs. I'm going to leave that face up so that we don't have to memorize it or anything. Okay. I now ask them to cut the cards again. They do. Somewhere near the middle is best, so that they do get that key card. They need to cut and include that key card. Okay. So ask them to cut somewhere near the middle. Say, I'll take those. You take those and you mix them. Okay. So they take those, the bottom portion, and they mix them. And then they place those on top. Now this is a really impossible scenario, right? Their card is somewhere in the middle, and we really don't know which cards are on, how many cards are on top and how many cards are below, which cards those are, or any order that they would have, because they've all been mixed up, of course. Okay, this is the magical part. If we take this portion and we place it on top or on bottom, it places 25 cards in between the spectator's card and the key card. So I'll show you. If we cut the cards here, and even if we have the cards cut a couple times, right? That card is always 25 cards in between. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for my key card, the ace of spades. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And there we go. There are 25 cards in between the key card over here and the spectator selection over here. Even if the cards are cut, so let's imagine that the cards are cut, this is still the case. Okay? So here, we'll keep it like this. There we go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 cards in between the selection and the key card. So, how do we reveal that we know what the card is? Well, there are a handful of different ways. In the Royal Road to Card Magic, it says this. You run through the cards, finding your key, locating your key card, then you count the 25 cards all the way up until you've located their selection, right? You then cut that card to the top, turn it all over, and now you're going to side jog that card. About that much is how much it needs to be. So it's about half the width of the card. The right hand comes over to cover it up, and then you drop everything on the table. When you do, it causes one card to flip over, and that's the 9 of clubs. So what's your justification for this? You go, all right, I'm going to try to find your card. Just send it to me with your psychic vibrations. Now I'm counting, and I might count 10 cards and remember that I have 10 cards, and then count 10 more cards and go, you know, I'm having a hard time finding it. Let's see. You know what? We'll try to find it in a different way. I've just cut the cards, and now I'm going to set it up and say, watch, we'll just toss the deck down to the table a couple times. One of the times as I toss, I'm going to push over with my thumb, super easy to do, and then drop. And at the very least, that card will flutter away from the deck, right? Like we just happened there, or ideally, it will turn over like this. Okay, you can drop them into your hand, you can drop them onto the table, it doesn't matter. I like that ending, but I actually don't prefer it. My preferred ending is this. I prefer to have the spectator stick their finger out like this and then point at the cards, okay? And then I would grab their wrist as if I'm taking their pulse or reading them psychologically, and I would run my finger down the deck with them, right? As long as I have a large spread, this helps, right? I grab onto their hand, and then all that I'm doing is I'm just finding my key card right there, and then I'm going to use their finger, and in my head, right, I'm not going to do this out loud, I'm going to count 25 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to the 9. Now do this slowly so that they can actually feel maybe the tension. And once I've determined that that is their card, then I can do things like this. I can remove a few cards like that, and I know that it's a 9 of clubs, right? And I might spread it out again and have them hold their hand out and go back and forth, get rid of these until we've slowly narrowed it down to just a few cards. Then I can hold their hand over and finally nail it down that that's their card. All right? So that's kind of a psychological method to reveal their card. And in that one, what's fun about it is you're counting right there out in the open with their finger. So there we go. That is one of my all-time favorite magic tricks from the Royal Road to Card Magic. It's something that I've used for the last few years to fool my magic buddies, and it's kind of nice to have in your back pocket just in case you come upon a spectator that wants to shuffle and mix the cards. They might be a little bit more difficult, right? But it's a good trick that will fool them if you perform it well. So I hope you enjoy it. If you want to see more magic like this, go ahead, follow the link in the description. It'll take you over to Penguin Magic. And I have filmed 2 other magic tricks from the Royal Road to Card Magic that are also big time foolers. So go check those out. If you like this kind of content, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the Penguin Magic YouTube channel for more. Thank you. See you next time.